The quantum detection array hidden within Europa's icy crust registered the anomaly at 3:47 Universal Earth Time. Dr. Maya Patel watched as streams of data confirmed what humanity had been preparing for since they first launched the Deep Space Monitoring Network. A massive fleet was approaching the solar system, their energy signatures unlike anything produced by human technology. She didn't sound the general alarm. There was no need. Within seconds, the Quantum Defense Network's AI had already initiated the Silent Observer Protocol. Across the solar system, automated systems began their careful dance of surveillance and deception, while appearing to do absolutely nothing at all. Maya took a slow sip of her coffee, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the incoming fleet's trajectory. "How many ships, ARIA?" she asked the Defense Network's AI. Main battle group consists of 47 vessels ranging from 500 meters to 3 kilometers in length. ARIA responded, its voice deliberately engineered to be calming. Secondary support fleet of approximately 100 smaller craft, following at a distance of 0.7 light-years. Maya nodded, allowing herself a small smile. The aliens thought they were being clever, keeping their support fleet hidden. They had no idea that humanity's quantum detection network could spot faster-than-light energy signatures from 3 light-years out. More importantly, they had no idea the network existed at all. Time to solar system boundary breach. Approximately 72 hours at current velocity, ARIA replied. They appear to be using a variant of Alcubierre drive technology. Inefficient by our standards, but functional. That was interesting. Humanity had abandoned Alcubierre drives a decade ago in favor of quantum slip technology. These aliens, despite their impressive fleet size, might not be as advanced as their numbers suggested. Maya initiated a secure quantum link to Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen's office on Luna Base. The Admiral's hologram materialized in Maya's office, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in its usual tight bun. "Let me guess," Chen said without preamble. They finally showed up. "Right on schedule," Maya confirmed. "Looks like your prediction about them waiting until we established our first Mars colony was accurate. They'd probably think we're still celebrating the achievement, vulnerable during a major transition." Chen's hologram nodded. "Have they tried to hide their approach at all?" "No. Their stealth technology appears to be limited to conventional electromagnetic masking. They have no idea we can detect their quantum signatures." Maya pulled up the fleet formation data, sharing it with Chen's display. "Their formation suggests they're expecting zero resistance. Classic colonization approach pattern." "Arrogant," Chen mused. "That's good. Send the data to General Santos on Mars. Let's see how our visitors react to Phase 1. Over the next 48 hours, humanity enacted a plan that had been refined over decades of preparation. On the surface, nothing changed. The Mars colony continued its celebrations. Space traffic moved in normal patterns. Communication channels carried their usual mix of entertainment, business, and personal content. But beneath the surface, beneath the ice of Europa, the rocky depths of Mars, and the cratered face of Luna, humanity's real infrastructure hummed with activity. Quantum computers spun up, analyzing every aspect of the alien fleet. Weapon systems hidden in asteroid bases powered up under perfect electromagnetic stealth. And most importantly, the deception network prepared its greatest performance. The alien fleet crossed Neptune's orbit without broadcasting any message. They passed Uranus in silence. It wasn't until they reached Saturn that they finally announced themselves, broadcasting on all common electromagnetic frequencies in perfect Earth standard English. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Empire, bearers of civilization and progress. We have watched your development with great interest and have chosen this moment to welcome you into the greater galactic community. Your recent achievement of establishing an extraterrestrial colony shows your potential. We come in peace, seeking only to help guide your species to its full potential." Maya watched the message replay, noting the carefully calculated mix of praise and subtle condescension. She turned to Admiral Chen's hologram. They'd been studying us for a while. The language is too perfect, the cultural touchstones too precise. Indeed, Chen agreed. Araya, what's your analysis of their ship deployments during the message? They're establishing the standard orbital control grid, the AI reported. Weapon systems are powered but not actively targeting. Their fleet is positioned to achieve total coverage of Earth, Mars, and Luna within 15 minutes if needed. Standard imperial subjugation tactics, based on historical records from other civilizations they've welcomed. Maya pulled up the deep space feeds from the quantum network. The support fleet is moving too, spreading out to create a containment perimeter. They're ready to block any attempt at escape, not that they think we're capable of that yet. Perfect, Chen said, her smile reminiscent of a predator watching unsuspecting prey. Everything is proceeding exactly as we predicted. Humanity spent a century fighting itself, developing weapons and countermeasures, before finally unifying. We knew someone would come eventually, trying to take advantage of what they perceived as a primitive, divided species. Maya nodded, understanding the Admiral's satisfaction. The Galactic Empire had no idea they were walking into a trap centuries in the making. Every piece of primitive human technology they could detect was a carefully crafted facade. Every vulnerable colony was a hardened fortress. Every defenseless planet was ringed with weapons that defied the Empire's understanding of physics. Should we reply to their message? Maya asked, although she already knew the answer. Of course, Chen replied. Let's be the primitive, excited species they expect. Araya, prepare the response. Full diplomatic protocol, appropriate level of awe and enthusiasm. Make sure to include plenty of easily exploitable weaknesses in our transmission encryption. Let them think they're reading our mail. As Araya crafted humanity's response, Maya watched the Empire's ships settling into their positions. They thought they were watching humanity. They had no idea that humanity had been watching them, and thousands of other potential threats for decades. They thought they were laying a trap. They didn't realize they were already caught in one. You know, Maya said quietly, I almost feel sorry for them. They're about to learn the hard way why humanity unified. We spent our entire history fighting ourselves, preparing for threats that might never come. And now, Chen finished. They're about to discover that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, our weapons, or even our deception. It's that we never, ever stopped preparing for this moment. Initiate Phase 2. Let's welcome our guests properly. As the quantum network hummed with activity, as hidden weapons tracked every alien ship, as humanity's real fleet waited in dimensional shadows beyond the Empire's comprehension, Maya remembered an old saying, the greatest victory is the battle not fought. But if the Galactic Empire forced this into open conflict, they would learn another truth. The most dangerous enemy is the one you never knew was ready for you. The silent watchers of humanity were about to become something else entirely. The only question was whether the Empire would be wise enough to recognize the warning signs before it was too late. Grand Executor Vextal stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Eternal Dominion, watching Earth's diplomatic delegation approach in their supposedly advanced shuttle. The human vessel's crude fusion drive and basic electromagnetic shielding amused him. These primitives thought they were impressing him with their best technology. Your Excellence, his chief cultural advisor, Zira, approached with a detailed analysis. The humans are following every diplomatic protocol we transmitted perfectly, almost too perfectly. Vextal dismissed her concern with a wave of his crystalline appendage. Of course they are. Their primitive monitoring systems detected our approach well within our predicted time frame. They've had adequate time to study our initial transmissions. The human shuttle docked with practiced precision. The delegation that emerged was a carefully chosen group, scientists, military officers, and political leaders. Leading them was Director Elizabeth Carter of the newly formed Human Diplomatic Corps, her silver hair and ceremonial uniform chosen to project authority and wisdom. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Dominion," Vextal announced, his translator converting his crystalline resonances into perfect English. "We are honored to begin this historic partnership between our civilizations." Carter bowed precisely to the degree specified in the transmitted protocols. "The honor is ours, Grand Executor. Humanity is eager to learn from the Galactic Empire's vast experience." From her quantum-linked observation post on Europa, Dr. Maya Patel watched the exchange through hidden sensors so advanced they could read the microscopic fluctuations in the aliens' crystalline bodies. "They're buying it completely," she reported to Admiral Chen. "Their biosignatures show confidence, even smugness." Chen's hologram nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Arara. Continue monitoring their fleet movements. I want to know the moment they begin positioning their cultural exchange platforms." The A's response was immediate. "3 vessels have already broken formation, Admiral. They're moving to positions optimal for planetary bombardment while maintaining the appearance of standard diplomatic positioning." Over the next week, the Galactic Empire executed their standard infiltration playbook flawlessly. They shared advanced technology that humanity had supposedly never seen before: antimatter containment systems, quantum communication arrays, and gravitational manipulation fields. Each gift was carefully designed to make Earth dependent on Imperial technology. The humans played their role perfectly. They expressed appropriate awe at each revelation. Their scientists made exactly the right number of mistakes implementing the new technology. Their military leaders asked precisely the wrong questions, revealing their strategic blind spots. In her private chambers aboard the Eternal Dominion, Director Carter reviewed the day's intelligence with her quantum-linked colleagues. Her quarters had been swept for surveillance devices using technology that appeared to be simple electronic detection equipment. The Zarkax observers had watched this sweep with amusement, never realizing that Carter's real quantum scanning suite was built into her own nervous system. "They've begun positioning their cultural exchange platforms," she reported. "Phase 3 is right on schedule. How are the defensive preparations proceeding?" General Santos' hologram appeared, his Mars Command Center visible in the background. "The Empire's own sensor shadows are providing perfect cover for our final deployments. They're so focused on hiding their weapon platforms in spatial dead zones, they haven't noticed we're using those same zones to position our own systems." Maya's hologram joined the conversation. "The quantum network has fully mapped their command and control protocols. We can shut down their entire communication system the moment we need to. More importantly, we've identified their one critical weakness: their crystalline biology." Carter nodded. "They think it makes them superior. Immune to radiation, able to survive in space, perfect for long-term conquest operations." "Exactly," Maya confirmed. "But they never considered that their entire evolutionary history makes them vulnerable to certain quantum frequency manipulations. One properly tuned pulse could disrupt their entire crystalline structure." Admiral Chen's hologram completed the briefing circle. "The Empire's next move will be to establish their Security Cooperation Initiative. They'll insist on positioning peacekeeping forces near our major population centers. When we agree enthusiastically, they'll think they've achieved checkmate." Carter allowed herself a small smile. "They still think we're building our civilization on the surface, like they do. Have they gotten any closer to detecting our real infrastructure?" "Not even close," Santos replied. "Their scans stop at the first few kilometers of planetary crust. The quantum shielding on our deep cities is holding perfectly. As far as they know, humanity is still living in surface cities, huddled under primitive dome shields." The Empire's overconfidence had grown with each passing day. They had encountered thousands of species over their long history of conquest, and all had followed predictable patterns of behavior. Some fought back immediately, their primitive weapons useless against Imperial shields. Others tried to run, only to find their escape routes blocked. Many attempted diplomatic resistance, not realizing their every move was anticipated. But humanity was doing something the Empire had never encountered, appearing to follow the predicted pattern so perfectly that it never occurred to them to look deeper. Tomorrow, Carter announced, the Empire will invite us to join their mutual defense initiative. They'll offer to upgrade our planetary defense systems with their technology, replacing our outdated warning networks with their own. And we'll agree, Chen said, watching as they position their weapons while thinking they're dismantling our defenses. The perfect trap. Almost perfect, Maya corrected. They forgot the most important rule of hunting. When the prey acts exactly like you expect, you're probably not the hunter. Carter's smile widened slightly. How long until they realize their mistake? They won't, Chen replied. Not until we show them. The real question is, will they be wise enough to surrender when they understand what humanity really is? As if in answer, a priority alert pulsed through the quantum network. The Empire's peacekeeping fleet had begun its approach, right on schedule. The false peace was about to end, and the Empire was about to learn why humanity's apparent submission had been too perfect to be true. In the depths of Europa, in the caverns of Mars, and in the quantum-shielded cities beneath Earth's surface, humanity's real civilization prepared to reveal itself. The Empire thought they were springing a trap generations in the making. They didn't realize they had spent those generations walking into one. The day humanity showed its true face began like any other aboard the Eternal Dominion. Grand Executor Vextal was reviewing reports of the humans' eager acceptance of Imperial defense upgrades when the first anomaly appeared. Excellence, his sensor officer called out, crystalline form vibrating with confusion. We're detecting an energy surge from beneath Mars' surface. Vextal turned to the main display, watching as impossibly powerful energy readings emerged from what should have been solid rock. Before he could issue orders, similar signatures appeared across the solar system. Europa, Luna, Mercury, and dozens of asteroids that were supposed to be uninhabited. Impossible, he whispered, his crystalline form resonating with shock. Their technology is primitive. They barely understand quantum mechanics. Director Carter's hologram appeared on the bridge, her previously diplomatic smile replaced with something far more predatory. I'm afraid we haven't been entirely honest with you, Grand Executor. Would you like to know what humanity's really been doing for the past century? Across the solar system, the facade of human civilization fell away. What the Empire had thought were simple dome cities morphed as quantum camouflage deactivated, revealing vast technological complexes. The primitive defense satellites transformed, their basic shells dissolving to expose weapons platforms centuries beyond Imperial technology. On Mars, General Santos stood in his true command center, 20 kilometers beneath the surface. All units, execute Protocol Omega. Show our guests what humanity can really do. The Empire's carefully positioned peacekeeping fleet found themselves surrounded as humanity's real ships emerged from quantum shadow states. Each vessel was a testament to human ingenuity, smaller than Imperial ships, but packed with technologies the Empire had never imagined. Your Excellence, Zyra reported, her crystalline form trembling. We're detecting quantum signatures unlike anything in Imperial records. Their ships, they're not just appearing, they're shifting from some kind of parallel space state. Quantum slip technology, Carter explained, her hologram now showing her in her true military uniform. We abandoned Alcubierre drives decades ago. Too inefficient, too easy to detect. We found it much more elegant to simply step between quantum states of space-time. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through every Imperial communication channel. Your weapons are already disabled. Those cultural exchange platforms you so carefully positioned. We replaced their control systems the moment you installed them. As for your fleet's supposedly unbreakable quantum encryption, she paused, letting the implications sink in. We broke that before you finished your first transmission. Vextal's form pulsed with rage and disbelief. Impossible. We've conquered thousands of worlds. Our technology is the pinnacle of galactic achievement. No, Maya's voice joined the channel from Europa. Your technology is the pinnacle of one evolutionary path, the crystalline development track. But did you ever wonder why you found so few carbon-based civilizations in your conquests? She continued as understanding began to dawn in Vextol's consciousness. It's because we're harder to detect, more adaptable. While crystalline species build up, creating massive visible structures, we build down. We hollow out worlds. We hide in the shadows of space itself. And we never, ever stop improving. Across the solar system, humanity's real military might emerge. Quantum phase ships that could shift between dimensional states at will. Weapon systems that didn't just fire energy or projectiles, but manipulated the fundamental forces of reality. And most terrifying of all, soldiers in quantum-enhanced battle suits that could match a crystalline being's natural advantages. Your entire conquest strategy relies on technological superiority, Carter explained, almost gentle in her delivery. You find primitive worlds, overwhelm them with advanced technology, and create dependency. But what happens when you find a species that's been preparing for you? One that deliberately hid its advancement, waiting to see what you would reveal. On every Imperial ship, warning signals blared as human quantum technology began interfering with their crystalline systems. The Empire's supposedly invulnerable vessels found their control systems speaking in alien languages, their weapons refusing to respond, their engines pulsing to rhythms they never intended. "We could destroy your fleet," Chen announced. "Right now. Those quantum frequency manipulators we developed. They could shatter your crystalline forms with a single pulse. But that's not why we prepared all this." Santos took over the explanation. "We want you to understand something fundamental about humanity. We didn't develop all this technology because we wanted to conquer. We did it because we knew, eventually, someone would try to conquer us." Maya's voice carried the final revelation. "Your empire has never failed to subjugate a species because you've never encountered one that saw you coming. One that spent generations preparing not just weapons and defenses, but entire shadow civilizations hidden beneath the surface of what you could see. Through the quantum network, humanity's leaders could see the Empire's command structure dissolving into chaos. Ships tried to retreat, only to find themselves trapped in quantum bubbles where space itself refused to obey their demands. Weapons fired desperately, their energy dispersing harmlessly against shields that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "You have a choice, Grand Executor," Carter declared. "You can order your fleet to stand down, opening the door to real diplomatic relations between equals. Or you can discover exactly how many other surprises humanity has prepared for this moment." Vextol's crystalline form pulsed with patterns that the quantum network's AI translated as a mixture of fear, rage, and most surprisingly, respect. You knew we were coming. For how long?" "We detected your first stealth probes 50 years ago," Chen replied. "Did you really think those primitive radio telescopes were our only eyes? We've been watching quantum space since before you entered this arm of the galaxy." As the Empire's fleet hung motionless in space, surrounded by humanity's revelations of power, Carter delivered the final message. "Remember this moment, Grand Executor. Remember that humanity didn't strike first, didn't seek conquest. We simply made absolutely certain that anyone who did would regret it. Now shall we discuss the terms of a real peace? One between equals." The silence that followed would reshape the galaxy's understanding of not just humanity, but of how civilization itself could develop. The Empire had thought they were uplifting primitives. Instead, they had awakened a giant that had been watching, waiting, and preparing since before their paths ever crossed. Not all of the Empire's forces accepted Grand Executor Vextol's order to stand down. High Commander Ixal, leading the Empire's secondary fleet at the solar system's edge, had spent centuries conquering primitive species. The idea of surrendering to one was unthinkable. "The humans have revealed their deception," Ixal announced to his loyal commanders. "Their treachery proves they were never worthy of Imperial guidance. Prepare for immediate assault." In her quantum-shielded command center beneath Europa's ice, Maya watched the Imperial battle group's energy signatures shift. "Admiral, the secondary fleet is powering weapons. Looks like about 40% of their forces are preparing to attack." Chen's hologram, nodded, unsurprised. They still think this is about technology and firepower. Area. Initiate Quantum Defense Protocol Theta. Let's show them how humanity really fights. The rebelling Imperial ships launched their assault with overwhelming force, or tried to. Their weapon systems, despite showing as fully operational on their displays, produced no effects. Their engines, supposedly at full power, moved them at a fraction of their intended speed. What's happening? Ixal demanded, his crystalline form pulsing with rage. Why aren't our weapons functioning at full capacity? The answer came not from his crew, but from Dr. Maya Patel's voice across their command channel. Did you really think we'd only prepared one layer of countermeasures? Everything you're trying to do, we've been practicing to prevent for decades. Santos's voice joined hers. Your ships have been operating in our solar system for weeks. Every system you activated, every piece of technology you demonstrated, we weren't just analyzing it. We were rewriting it at the quantum level. Ixal watched in horror as his fleet's formation began to dissolve. Ships reported cascading system failures, but the failures made no sense. Technology that had worked perfectly for centuries was evolving new behaviors, responding to commands in ways that should have been impossible. Quantum infiltration complete, Araya reported through the Human Command Network. Their systems are now operating on our quantum protocols. Should I begin the demonstration? Chen's order was calm but carried unmistakable satisfaction. Show them what happens when you fight an enemy that doesn't just adapt to your technology, but makes it adapt to them. Across the rebel fleet, ships began moving of their own accord. Weapon systems targeted their own allies. Communication systems broadcast on frequencies that disrupted crystalline thought patterns. The Empire's supposedly perfect technology had been turned into humanity's weapon. Impossible. Ixal rage. Our systems are isolated. The quantum encryption is based on mathematical principles we decoded months ago. Carter interrupted, her hologram appearing on every Imperial bridge. You've spent centuries believing your technology was perfect, unchangeable. We spend every moment assuming everything we build can be improved. Through the quantum network, humanity's leaders watched as the rebel fleet descended into chaos. Ships tried to retreat into faster-than-light travel, only to find their Alcubierre drives redirected them back to face human vessels. Others attempted to self-destruct, discovering that even their demolition systems had been rewritten to preserve rather than destroy. This is the fundamental difference between our species, Maya explained to the increasingly desperate Imperial commanders. You build technology to be permanent, unchanging. We build it to evolve. Santos added, every weapon you've ever created, every defense you've ever deployed, was designed to be perfect at its task. But perfection is static. Evolution is power. To demonstrate this point, humanity finally revealed their own weapon systems. Ships that could shift their fundamental structure mid-battle, adapting to any attack. Defense systems that learned from each impact, becoming stronger against repeated assaults. And most terrifyingly, quantum AI that could predict and counter Imperial tactics before they were even fully formed. Your Excellence, Vextal addressed Ixal through the command channel. Surrender. The humans aren't fighting us with superior technology. They're fighting us with superior thinking. Every moment we resist, they learn more about how to defeat us. But Ixal had spent too long at the top of the galactic hierarchy to accept defeat. Launch the world-breaker weapons. Let's see how their precious evolution handles. His command cut off as his ship's systems detected the deployment of prohibited weaponry and initiated their new protocols. Throughout the rebel fleet, any vessel attempting to arm forbidden weapons found their systems locked down by their own security protocols. Protocols that now answered to human command. We didn't just study your technology, Chen announced to the immobilized rebel fleet. We studied you, your tactics, your psychology, your inability to conceive of a species that could surpass you. It's why we let you think you were in control for so long. We needed to understand everything about how you wage war. Carter's voice carried the weight of final judgment. Now you face a choice. The loyal imperial forces under Grand Executor Vextal have already begun true diplomatic negotiations. They've accepted that humanity is not a primitive species to be conquered, but an equal to be respected. You can join them, or... She let the silence hang meaningfully as human ships demonstrated their evolution in real time, their quantum phase technology allowing them to shift between attack configurations faster than Imperial sensors could track. Maya completed the thought. Or you can continue fighting and discover just how many more ways humanity has prepared to defeat you. We've shown you perhaps 5% of our defensive capabilities. Would you like to see more? Throughout the rebel fleet, Imperial commanders watched their perfect technology transform into an alien architecture they barely understood. Weapons became unusable, engines responded only to human commands, and even their crystalline communication methods began to carry echoes of human thought patterns. They had come expecting to find primitives playing with borrowed power. Instead, they had found a species that had spent generations preparing not just to fight them, but to fundamentally change how war itself was waged. The Empire had perfected the art of conquest. Humanity had mastered the science of evolution. As the rebel fleet hung powerless in space, their technology transformed into an extension of human will. The galaxy's balance of power shifted irreversibly. The age of static perfection was over. The era of continuous evolution had begun. 1 year after the Battle of Sol, as historians were already calling it, Director Elizabeth Carter stood in the newly constructed Galactic Assembly on Mars. The vast chamber, built deep beneath the planet's surface in humanity's signature style, hosted representatives from over 200 species. Many were former subjects of the Galactic Empire, now free for the first time in centuries. Grand Executor Vextal, now serving as the reformed Empire's diplomatic envoy, approached her before the session. His crystalline form had adapted over the past year, incorporating patterns that reflected human influence, a visible symbol of his species' own evolution. The delegation from the Centauri Collective has arrived, he informed her. They're uncertain about joining an alliance led by such a young species. Carter smiled. They're not joining an alliance led by humanity, Vextal. They're joining a partnership of equals. That's what your empire never understood. True strength comes from diversity, not uniformity. The assembly chamber itself demonstrated this philosophy. While the empire had always built up, creating towering spires of crystalline architecture, the human-designed chamber expanded in all directions. Some species represented here breathed methane, others existed as pure energy, and some experienced time itself differently. The chamber accommodated them all. Administrator Chen is ready to begin. Maya's hologram appeared beside them. She had taken charge of implementing the new quantum network that connected all member species, allowing for instantaneous communication across the galaxy. The first group of Empire worlds has completed their transition to the new autonomous governance system. In the year since the conflict, humanity had surprised the galaxy again. Instead of replacing the Empire's control with their own, they had helped each species develop its own governance, tailored to their unique biology, psychology, and cultural needs. The quantum network provided support without enforcing control. The assembly session opened with a historic announcement. General Santos, now heading the new Galactic Defense Initiative, took the central platform. His hologram projected clearly to all species, regardless of how they perceived reality. The last holdouts of the old Imperial force surrendered yesterday, he announced. Not to human ships, but to a joint fleet crewed by 12 different species, using technology that evolved from a combination of human, imperial, and independent developments. This was humanity's true victory, not the defeat of an empire, but the creation of something entirely new. A galactic civilization that didn't just tolerate differences, but thrived on them. Admiral Chen, who had overseen the integration of various species' military technologies, shared the next revelation. Our combined research teams have made a breakthrough in quantum physics that none of us could have achieved alone. The crystalline logic of the Zarkax, merged with human adaptability, and the unique perspectives of a dozen other species, has opened up entirely new frontiers of science. Vextel's form resonated with what the quantum network translated as pride, not in conquest, but in cooperation. "We thought we were perfect," he addressed the assembly. "We thought our crystalline nature, our unchanging technology, represented the peak of evolution. The humans showed us that true perfection lies in the ability to change." Carter took the platform for the final address. "A year ago, humanity revealed that we had spent generations preparing for a conflict we hoped would never come. We hid our true capabilities, built our civilization in shadows and silence, all to defend ourselves from conquest." She paused, looking at the gathered representatives. "But our greatest achievement wasn't the technology we developed, or the defenses we created. It was understanding that the same drive that helped us protect ourselves could help us connect with others." The quantum network hummed with activity as species shared their experiences. Former imperial worlds described how human assistance had helped them rediscover their own ancient technologies, combining them with new innovations to create something greater than either past or present alone. "The old empire sought to impose one way of life on all species," Carter continued. "They saw difference as weakness, change as decay. But look around this chamber. Every species here experiences reality in their own unique way. Some of you see quantum fields naturally, others perceive time as a spatial dimension, and some exist simultaneously in multiple states of being." Maya's hologram joined her on the platform. "This is why we built this assembly beneath the surface of Mars, in the style of human architecture. Not to show our dominance, but to demonstrate our core belief. That strength lies beneath the surface, in the foundations we build together." The assembly erupted in a chorus of agreement, expressed in 100 different ways by 100 different species. The quantum network translated it all, turning the cacophony into a symphony of unified purpose. Santos added the final point. "Humanity spent centuries preparing for war, but what we really prepared for was this moment. The opportunity to help create a galaxy where no species needs to hide its true nature, where difference is celebrated rather than suppressed, and where evolution never stops." As the session concluded, Carter met privately with Vextel. The former Imperial commander had one last question. "Did you know it would turn out this way? When you revealed your true power, did you plan for this?" Carter's response captured the essence of humanity's philosophy. "We didn't plan for any specific outcome. We planned to be ready for every outcome. That's the real difference between our species. You sought to perfect one way of existing. We sought to perfect the art of finding new ways to exist." The quantum network carried their conversation to the edges of known space, where other civilizations were already reaching out, drawn by stories of a galaxy being transformed. Humanity had emerged from shadows not to conquer, but to connect. The age of imperial uniformity was over. The era of infinite diversity had begun. In the depths of Europa, where this story began, Maya watched new quantum signatures appearing at the edge of human space. More species, drawn by tales of Earth's resistance and subsequent leadership, were making contact. But unlike the Empire's arrival, these new contacts came not with weapons armed, but with hopes raised. Humanity had prepared for war, but achieved something far greater. They had created peace through the very diversity their enemies had once sought to eliminate. The silent watchers had become vocal leaders, the hidden defenders had become public partners, and the galaxy would never be the same.